All right, good morning, guys. Just want to do a quick recap before I get off the charts for today on the trade we ended up taking today. So here's a 5 minute chart. At open, we pretty much just dumped all the way through. I was expecting lower prices at open to see if we were going to have some type of draw towards the daily BISI, which was my original target and still is the original target. So anything in that direction would be higher probability for me. And given that we had also swept, I believe it was the 4 hour high here. So we swept and then we started displacing lower. I paid close attention to the 5 minute. And once we had this pretty much displacement lower, I believe it was only like 100 and something points. Yeah, nearly 200 points. So I was expecting more consolidation or higher resistance rather than just clean, displacement lower. So when we displaced higher, I didn't really see this as we're going to go back to these highs. I more so saw this as just an inducement play, and I just started looking at bullish PD arrays as form of inducement. So we have all these bullish PD arrays, a breaker. This is a very classic setup. You have your breaker, you have your fair value gap, displacement above there, and then you have a retest. And notice how it almost makes it seem like it is going to work just for it to inverse this gap. Again, giving more confluence is that it is going to work, and then just claim all this, and then we just come down and start trickling downwards. So obviously the sentiment is bearish off open. Why? Because of this daily inefficiency that we have. We also have the daily inefficiency on above us that we are targeting overall for the week, but for intraday, this had my attention a little bit more. So I wanted to see if we were going to respect bearish PD arrays to continue lower. And so as soon as we had a displacement on the 5 minute right here, show you guys. This gap gets retested too, and on ES as well. Right. So we have right here, this small gap is being respected. NQ is digging into its upper gap here. So then at this point, we see the displacement on the lower time frame, and I go ahead and enter. I just put my limit order on the first presented for value gap there. And I like this even more because we had the SMT. So once we put in the SMT, obviously I was feeling a lot more confident about this trade because now we had a divergence between the indices. So right here, notice how we go into this higher time frame. Lower time frame fair value gap here, and we failed to on ES and come into it on NQ. So this sweep right here gave me a lot of confidence. That's why I was able to move my stop to break even rather quickly, especially after we had this displacement sweeping these lows. My stop was just at break even. One, because if we're going to come all the way up here, this S&T is probably not going to hold, and we're more than likely going to consolidate a little bit more, given that we just had a huge expansion. So those are the things I'm keeping in mind when I'm entering a trade after an expansion, because there's been many times I've entered trades after an expansion is just chop, up and down, up and down. So either expect chop or high resistant conditions, and that's exactly what we kind of have here. High resistant conditions, still aiming towards a target, right? So on the 5 minute, we start respecting bearish PD arrays. We continue to respect them. Our order block here gets respected. We continue to respect the order blocks that are being put in, and we continue to display slower. So I'm just managing the trade accordingly and making sure that bullish PD arrays are continuing to be disrespected and moving my stops as I need to. So here my stop is at break even, still at break even. I have not taken any partials, and then we start getting into displacement. This is a very classical inducement. I've seen multiple times. Market will displace higher just to continue lower. And anybody chasing longs because they're married to the idea that we're going all the way back up here now in the AM session after we had a huge expansion are going to get railed, in other words. So they get stopped out wherever their stops are at. Most people are putting their stops below here. Market continues to engineer liquidity. This is something I'm paying attention to. And as we go higher, I'm just expecting this to be taken and so forth. It does, respecting, bearish PD arrays for value gap, inverse for value gap, and so forth. We have our balanced price range, and that sends us lower. Now I took a partial here at the previous, I believe it was October 25th new week opening gap. So I took a partial here, and since it was so close to my target, and then I just moved my stop to this high I just wanted to give it one last room if it wanted to come back up here. I prefer this to be a breakaway gap and just continue flushing lower. But again, we're in high resistant conditions. These are the conditions we have to adapt to. So we are likely to get some form of retracement before going to our target. So again, we get taken out in profit here on this candle, and we call it a day. That's it. We taken our trade for the day. It wasn't bad. From here to here, it's a 1 to 3.25. I usually just go for a 1 to 2 RR, but on the days that I'm confident where the draw's at, I do let my trades run a little bit more, and then just manage aggressively my stop, or just manage my stop in general. But yeah, so we go all the way up here. Notice how we retest the 5-minute order block. 1 minute breaker is still in play from the original setup that we took. So I still think we go lower, but again, high resistant conditions can call for consolidationary periods like this, where we eventually do get to the target, but it might take too long. This trade, for example, took a total of, here, I'll show you guys, 51 minutes. So yeah, 51 minutes. I mean, it played out really, really well. And I've taken it across my live account and my top sub accounts. So pretty good day. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. You guys have any comments, any questions, or want to give any input, more than welcome. Just wanted to give a review. I did record the whole live thing on OBS, but for some reason I click it and it only records the first 4 minutes and 16 seconds. And after that, it's just frozen. So I don't want to just give you guys a frozen video. I didn't want to do a recap. I'd rather just post a video and show you guys everything that I was noting. I was writing all over the charts and pretty much bringing attention to certain areas that I wanted to see price respect. It's a great video, but unfortunately, it only loaded. It was only loading 4 minutes and 16 seconds. So we'll have to see if I can figure that out, or I think it might be a storage problem on my computer, to be honest. So if I figure that out, I'll upload the video of the whole live trade, entering here and then covering here and so forth. But yeah, target is still down here. So I still think we go lower. 5-minute is looking pretty diabolical, but again, we're still going towards that target. We're still respecting our PD arrays here to continue lower. So I would be looking at this order block that is being respected, right? And these conditions are, for newer traders, will definitely be tougher and likely for them to just switch biases up and down. Remember, always stick to your plan. And if you're bearish, follow your bearish bias. Things that don't align with that, like this for value gap here, there's no reason why you should be induced to want to take longs here. So after I got stopped out, there was no emotion that wanted me to go in to go take longs here, because that is not part of my plan for today. So I have to stick to that. Now, do I think we could go higher? Absolutely. But again, we still have a PM session. Once we get into this area, which is our daily imbalance, which will be this on the daily right here, then we can start aiming for higher prices if we have the structure for it. If not, then there's no need to be rushing into trades. There's no need to be switching up your bias as soon as you see a 1-minute structure shift. You do want to make sure that the higher time frame aligns, giving you the context to build a narrative for your trades. So this gave me the context to build the narrative for my trade. So the narrative is bearish, where the daily inefficiency. Okay, so we're going to take trades in that direction because it's higher probability than me trying to chase along here because we swept some form of liquidity and we have an SMT. A lot of people are rushing longs here, and we have a breaker. This looks perfect, A+. But why is it not going to work? And why are you taking this? Because this is the narrative and the context that aligns with today's idea. Every day is different, but they're very similar. So just learn to adapt to exactly the idea you need to adopt and stick to it. Don't change up. Don't see this displacement and all of a sudden you want to go bullish and then you enter here and then you get destroyed. So yeah. But anyways, just want to do a quick recap. I'll probably get off the charts now and call it a day. But thank you guys for watching. You guys have any questions, drop them in the comments, shoot me a DM on Instagram. It's the same tag, just another transaction. So thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.